Time to talk about buffs to Lion units in this replay from Michael on Discord. Here, he's got the High Elves, relatively tall build against an absolute horde of Daka. This Greenskins player wants to do one thing, and that is to shoot Elves, which, I can definitely understand, but he's even got Double Night Goblin Shaman unleashing some Vindictive Glares there. Ooh, Night Goblin Warboss as well with the Fanatics 8-peak loons there in disguise. We've also got a front line of Savage Orcs, second line of Savage Orc Error Boys, and a couple of biggins mixed in with a fourth line of more Orc Error Boys. Broken Dusk Mob also there for the only mass in the entire build. So, if ever there was a time for Lions to eat, it would be against the Greenskins army with like 18 infantry units. Well, 16, let's be fair. But speaking of infantry, a nice Fanatics initially by this Greenskins player here is going to run back his Night Goblins. Again, just trying to skirmish basically as much as possible. Of course, Lion Infantry do have some missile resistance, as do the Lion Chariots. A lot of missile block chance on these other units here, so they'll be somewhat resistant. But the Lion Chariots just basically cut straight through that unit of charging biggins, even cutting through in such a way that the unit, auto paths around and rear charges them again. That is like the ideal chariot engagement, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, granted, those Savage Orcs, I guess they're not biggins. We're on the move. They don't have as much mass as like a full-on biggin, but still, I mean, 140 mass. Orc infantry tend to be on the heavier side, as you can imagine, especially the biggins. I think actually base biggins might have the most mass of any infantry, or close to it. Anyway, nice Vindictive Glare blast through the camera there as the Lions are going to continue on their march. You see them now cutting past this swath of archers on the first line. I wanted to also call out here, there was a couple situations where, right here, even though it's not, I guess, technically targeted on the same unit, but just in general, when you have the artillery shots and especially combined with the archer shots landing where the chariot is doing shock damage, that's multiple very impactful leadership damaging effects that kind of stack on top of each other, right? If we take a look, like these Savage Orc Air Boys, yeah, damage sustained is a little bit deceptive. That can actually hide a bunch of different things, including shock damage, but yeah, attacked by artillery and shot by missiles can be two separate modifiers there. Obviously no terror even, but just straight leadership routes of having lots of different effects stacking on top of each other. And yeah, just making shambles of this massive line of Air Boys. We're going to see a Wob pop off now, as a lot of these units have been engaged in melee for some time. Fireborn working up and around this flank, have been healed once already, I believe, by that Life Mage, and are going to keep kind of attacking, cycle charging, running around. There's not really any mass to stop these mobile units, right? So all Greenskins can do is kind of turn and keep shooting, but again, the Lion Chariot specifically with that missile resistance, 80 armor, they're going to be fairly impervious to missiles. They're also smaller targets than you might think. They're relatively small as far as chariots go, especially monstrous chariots. Although, to be honest, the Gore Beasts are probably about a similar profile. I don't know what their missile capsule looks like, to be honest, like their hurt box, so to speak. But anyway, or if they even have the capsule type. They're probably multiple articulated entities. But anyway, let's not get too bogged down in the details as we watch Goblins and Orcs continue to blast back. Talons of Torquilada there getting taken out. All the Spearmen pretty much gone, except for the ones that had gone out to this far flank to engage some of those archers. Tyrion did get out free in space. Looks like he's going to go try and snipe the Warboss, which will, again, provide another nice leadership penalty to all these various units. But now Fireborn working a little mobile hammer and anvil with the chariots. Just smash this unit of archers and then move on, as the bolt thrower does continue to land at scatter shots, which is not going to kill models, but it will do HP damage and, more importantly, leadership damage. Another Vindictive Glare KOs a model. Screw that guy in particular. But yeah, now the chariots and knights, Dragon Princes even, working sort of in tandem. I guess, are Dragon Princes technically knights? I think they're technically just like noble cavalry, right? Because, I mean, High Elves don't really have knightly orders in the same sense that, like, Empire does, or like Bretonnia, obviously. But yeah, anyway. Greenskins player is going to throw in the towel there. Understandably, things were going quite south for him very quickly, and his massive line of archers, 10 archers, just got ran roughshod by a relatively small elite high elf force that is very kind of thematic, I feel like, for high elves, and certainly the lion chariots, 230 kills, 20,000 damage dealt, 1,500 gold value straight up. That is just such a great performance from some lion chariots, and good job by Michael keeping them moving. That's great chariot micro, honestly. You know, always be charging, right? ABCs, always be charging. Keep that unit moving, constantly moving on to the next target, issuing attack order after attack order, and they can definitely profit big time. The rest of the build was kind of relatively small, but could have gotten overwhelmed by some different Greenskins builds, perhaps. I do think maybe like a more boar cavalry-centric build. Even, you know, I don't necessarily hate taking a lot of archers against high elves. I think it definitely could be solid, but definitely overkill. I'd probably cut all the Savage Orc Airboys and just try and bring some more boars. And then this build actually is pretty solid. Savage Orcs are not a pick you see a ton, especially because of high elf archers. But I don't totally hate the pick here. Their DPS is fairly solid. If you have the micro for it, Fanatics are generally better, but riskier. I don't know. Orc Infantry is in a little bit of a weird place. Also, arguably, should just go all in on Biggins. Probably, honestly. But, yeah. Definitely an interesting battle, for sure. Two somewhat unusual builds. But the Lion Chariot's definitely feeling pretty solid. That replay obviously didn't have to face too many direct counters and threats, which certainly the Greenskins do have. But, yeah, the Lion Chariots and other monstrous chariots in general. I haven't had a chance to try the Gorbeast yet. And if anybody has a good Gorbeast replay out there, by the way, please feel free to send it in. I'd love to look at some Gorbeast gameplay. If they're any good, they might be still completely useless. It's totally possible. But for the high elves here, definitely the Lion Chariot can excel in a number of matchups. Like I said, that missile resistance is a nice get, although only 80 armor. Those two factors do combine quite nicely. And then the mass, up to 2,000 mass now, means, like, even there, I would say, against Orc Infantry, like, Orcs and Dwarfs also are very heavy as well, and because of their type formation, are sometimes even harder to pull through, honestly. But, yeah, 250 on mass, and then I think, did I say Biggins were the most before? That was definitely just straight up wrong, but, because Biggins only had, what, like 120? Was it Black Orcs had the most? Oh, no, they have 210. Okay, so they do have less than Ironbreakers, which does make sense. But Savage Biggins, I think, actually are, yeah, a little bit less. Black Orcs, I think, are technically less even. Yeah, so Biggins do have the most of Greenskins infantry at the very least. But, yeah, Ironbreakers definitely beat them out. So you're still probably going to have a tough time, I would imagine, against, like, the heaviest infantry. I don't know. The Ironbreakers and I guess like Ironsworn are probably the same. I don't really think there's anything else that comes close to them in terms of sheer mass. Maybe Lizardman, Saurus, and Temple Guard are also relatively heavy. Yeah, 210. So, I don't know. I'd be curious to see. Maybe I'll have to try out some Lion Chariots against either Chaos or regular Dwarfs, see how they perform in those matchups. But it does seem like against at least regular Biggins there, they seem to do decently well. They didn't get too bogged down, and were able to pull through, like, even the Orc Archers, as far as Archers go. 130 mass, definitely not bad. So, yeah, definitely can be used to good effect, I think, but needs more research. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.